We have a shocking Cleveland Cavaliers update. As we all know, Koby Altman isn't afraid of making some splashy moves, but this one seems like the craziest report I've seen in a long time, as Ben Simmons is now linked to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are among the favorites to land Ben Simmons after he leaves the Brooklyn Nets, and this has serious implications on different guys out there on the roster playing that forward position in terms of development roles, in terms of interesting pieces, but frankly, the Cleveland Cavaliers, while it sounds outrageous, while it sounds outlandish, there's a path where this could work, but there's also a path where this could get messy and I wouldn't say disastrous, but not a great move for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we're going to break down the reality of why this situation is being brought up, whether or not it makes sense for the Cavs to go after Ben Simmons, and just the absurdity of what's going on right now with this recent update. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. Before we do, folks, we notice over 90% of our viewers haven't hit the subscribe button just yet. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with this Cleveland Cavaliers team, all the latest news, myself, Billy's, everyone here at Cavs Die, just trying to deliver you the latest and greatest Cleveland Cavaliers coverage. So make sure you guys hit that sub button. If you're tuned in the news and you want the latest Cavs updates, hit that sub button. But let's dive into the madness, because frankly, I was shocked when I saw the Cleveland Cavaliers atop this list that came out in regards to rankings for Ben Simmons' next team. So this is obviously the betting odds of sportsbooks have come out and pegged the Cleveland Cavaliers at 2-1 odds to land Ben Simmons for as essentially the next team if he's not on the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics do overtake the Cavs there, but the Knicks, the Suns, Pacers, the Thunder, all these teams are out here on this list. Frankly, it's interesting. It's interesting what's going on right now for Ben Simmons. So if you haven't been following the career, the just chaos, the madness of Ben Simmons' story, of course, started off his NBA career as a phenomenal player for the Philadelphia 76ers. Never really could shoot, but had a great feel for the game. Was a 3-time All-Star, won Rookie of the Year, controversially over Donovan Mitchell, which would be crazy to see him and Donovan Mitchell, the same team, out there on the squad after the little beef that went back and forth early on in their days. But regardless of all that, Ben Simmons was awesome to start off his NBA career. And then, of course, had that meltdown against the Atlanta Hawks in the playoffs, had a few back surgeries, had some mental stuff going on that he openly admitted about, confidence issues that went down, and then, frankly, just really lost all of his touch feel for the game. It's tough to recover, and then every summer we hear, hey, the Reclamation Project, Ben Simmons on his way back, he's about to have a better season, and I will say this, he has been a lot healthier this season. This is his game log in terms of how he's playing. He started off the season as a starter, but regardless, starting, coming off the bench, whatever the heck it is, he has only missed a few games over the course of this year, which is something to be said. It is something to give him credit for, give him some positive, give him some props for, coming out there, but his stats have not been at that, all-star level that he was playing at early on in his NBA career. Of course, it is interesting. He has an unorthodox game, so to speak, because averaging 5 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 5x5, a triple-double, nearly almost, halfway to a triple-double in all these stats. And then 0.6 blocks, 0.8 steals. He was at one time one of the best defenders in the entire NBA, but of course, injuries have led him to be a step slower, a step behind what he was able to do. But watching these highlights, watching these clips of these Brooklyn Nets games, Ben Simmons still has a solid feel for the game, and he still is a big body. He still is mobile. He's 6'10", 28 years old, which feels crazy to say that he's at that old here now at this point. But Ben Simmons is a really just interesting basketball player. And now, again, you're seeing the odds as in terms of the next possible teams, next possible destinations for Ben Simmons. There's no world where the Cavs trade for Ben Simmons over the course of the season. He's on an absolute albatross of a contract. He's a guy that, the Cavs made no sense to trading their key pieces right now, their big money players, to bring in Ben Simmons. So don't expect this to happen imminently, if Ben Simmons is to be a Cleveland Cavalier. And obviously a lot of stuff is to happen, plays, development of different players, before a decision would have to be made on Ben Simmons. But the Cavs as a destination for Simmons is really, really interesting because, again, there are the positives, because I've been outspoken. I brought up on these videos about how I view this Cavs roster, right? It is loaded in essentially every area, every aspect of this team. except the backup center position, right? Maybe JT Thor in the future has some potential there. Obviously, Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, they play spot minutes. So when Mobley's out, Allen plays center. And when Allen's out, Mobley can come in there to play center. But relying on guys like Tristan Thompson, we're relying on just amalgamation of forwards to go out there and be your essentially backup center for your team, I don't think is the perfect recipe for success. I mean, the Cavs have been winning. Team has been phenomenal this year, so it's working out right now. But of course, you want to fill every hole you can. And just watching this, again, I haven't had any outspoken Ben Simmons takes in a long time out here on YouTube, but I've long time said that Ben Simmons as that small ball kind of center position, especially where he doesn't shoot the three, is probably his best role out there in the NBA. So him coming in as a backup center, really not stealing any minutes from anyone because, again, he's playing a position of need for the Cleveland Cavaliers, frankly, wouldn't be something I mind the Cavs trying out there in the offseason, right? Bringing him in, very reasonable, very cheap contract, and say, hey, Ben Simmons, play alongside some of the best talent in the NBA and be a backup center for the squad. That is a direction, that is a position, that is a pathway that I'm actually all for. And again, he's not getting a ton of run with the Nets. We're not hearing a lot of drama. We're not hearing a lot of sucking and balling out there on this Nets squad. So I think he'd accept the role, he'd accept the opportunity on one of the best teams in the NBA. So him at backup center, I think Koby Altman can look at that and be like, hey, guys, that's a recipe for success for this team. But if you're going to be playing Ben Simmons at the point guard, at that point forward spot out here on this Cavs team, I don't really want anything to do with it because, again, directly playing that position right now for the Cavs is Caris LeVert, who, of course, at the start of the season, obviously dealt with some injuries. I was out here coining him 6th man of the year. Caris LeVert, 12 points per game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, has been a monster for this team, shooting 48%, and has just really been unlocked under Kenny Atkinson's system. So again, not that intrigued by Ben Simmons and taking the ball out of Caris LeVert's hands at that bench role, that bench position. Zero interest in that. Also, zero interest in him really just being a guy to affect the development of players like Jalen Tyson, who's not gotten a ton of run, of course, this season, but has shown flashes of potential as a hustler, as a defender, as a 2 and 3 and D guy. So that's a guy I like. Isaac Okoro, of course, can be out there on the wing, play defense, do different stuff for this Cavs team. You have Luke Travers, who has shown potential as a playmaker at that forward spot. And I think really the test and when the decision time comes to potentially go after Ben Simmons, to make that shocking move, to really surprise people in terms of that direction, we'll have a bigger sample size of what's going on with Luke Travers, but also what's going on with Emoni Bates, who last season was a very exciting pickup and has dealt with an injury, a meniscus injury to start off the season, but did make an Instagram post recently that he's going to return soon, but put on a lot of muscle. Billy just made a video out there on an update regarding Emoni Bates, but didn't have crazy stats last season, but we know he can put the ball in the hole. He can 6'10 himself at the forward position, just has a lot of high upside as a scorer. Again, it could go right, it could go bad. He's a bit of a ball hog. We get the criticism of Emoni Bates, but having a better idea of how Luke Travers of Emoni Bates after the rest of the season, people back from injuries, more G League run, more spot minutes with the actual Cavs roster, then you can really make a judgment out there on Ben Simmons. But I have zero interest in bringing in Ben Simmons to this Cavs team as a guy that's going to be playing the point spot, going to have the ball in his hands a ton. It's going to really take away even touches from, of course, the main guys, Mitchell, Garland, all those top tier guys, but even like Ty Jerome, even guys, and again, we'll see if the Cavs get priced out of Ty Jerome in the offseason. But, the playmakers off the bench, especially Caris LeVert, not that interested in that. But if he wants to be like a playmaking center that can really run the floor and do different things, I'm in for that. I'm in for that at a cheap price. But, of course, if it's going to affect the chemistry, affect what's going on with the Cavs, zero interest in that whatsoever. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. Do you want to see Ben Simmons in the wine and gold? Let me know. But you guys are the best for making this far. Again, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Over 90% haven't hit the subscribe button just yet. But you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.